What's up, everybody? This is your boy Ubi Hikari, aka the Nerd Nigga, here to bring you another video with no frills, just the analysis. And today I'm going to be bringing you The Legend of Korra Season 1, Episode 8 review entitled When Extremes Meet. Holy shit. Wow. Shit just got really real. Shit just got really real. Wow. First, let me say this, though, about Korra's airbending, and then I'll jump right into this. It looks like Korra isn't going to be able to airbend or at least show any mastery of airbending until the season finale. And the reason why I say this is because this is episode 8. So either she learns it in the next episode or episode 10, or it has to be in the season finale because the season finale is a two-part episode. So, or rather 2 episodes, in one, 2 episode special. So it looks like we're heading towards a hell of a season finale. That's just that's just my take on things. And also Korra finally tells Tenzin about her visions. So I just wanted to get that out of the way before I jump into this review. Wow. Wow. I got so much to say. I'm gonna have to make a second video on this with my theories and speculations about what's going on here. But, woof. But let's get to this review. I'm just so wow. So the episode starts off where everybody landing on Air Temple Island. Mako, Bolin, Asami, Korra. Everybody's on Air Temple Island, and Tenzin's children are there to meet them. And I really, really love Tenzin's children. I really do. They're so funny and they're such a joy. And one part of this episode, which was particularly funny, that involves Tenzin's children, was when I think her name is Iki. Is it? I believe her name's Iki. Where she turns to Asami and she says, "Did you know Korra likes Mako?" And there was like this moment where it was like, "Wow, this is awkward." But then after that, they show everybody to their room so everybody can get settled in on Air Temple Island. And after this, we learned that Lin Beifang has in fact resigned her post as chief of the metal bending police force, and she's being replaced by some guy named Saikon. And just like you guys, when I heard his name, I was like, who? Who the hell is Saikon? But anyway, he turns out to be a Tarrlok stooge. Apparently, he's going to report to Tarrlok. He's going to work with Tarrlok's task force and basically do everything that Tarrlok tells him to do. And so at this point, we realize that Tarrlok has the metal bending police force at his disposal, basically at his beck and call, at his command. And this really, really shows how cunning Tarrlok is. Really, really shows how cunning and devious this guy is. As if the end of the episode didn't really show us how devious he is. But at this point, we don't know that's going to happen. But anyway, he played Korra and Lin Beifang. He absolutely played them. And Korra confronts him about this. She tells him about this. She says, "You manipulated me into being your sort of pet in terms of getting me to join your task force, and you completely manipulated Lin Beifang. You played us for fools." And that's really what they were. I mean, Korra and Lin Beifang turned out to be complete fools in this episode, and I'll explain why that is later on. But in terms of that pro bending tournament where Lin Beifang said the tournament should continue and I'll provide my metal bending police force and we'll be able to protect the pro bending tournament and people who are gonna attend that event. And I don't think that Tarrlok set it up this way because there's no way that he could have known that Lin Beifang will offer to provide protection via the metal bending police force. There's no way he could have known that. But I think that Tarrlok is so cunning that he saw a political opportunity and realized that if Lin Beifang failed to protect the pro bending finals, that he could use this to his advantage, and he could use this as an opportunity to monopolize his power on the council, and to monopolize his power over Republic City, basically. Because if you control the Republic United Council, then you control Republic City. It's that simple. And this is why I really, really, really like this show, because it just deals with multiple aspects of politics. Of course, we have the broader political confrontation, which is obviously between Amon and the Equalists, and which sets up the confrontation between benders and non-benders. So we have that as the broader context of the series. But then we get into other dimensions of political intrigue, into very specific and multiple layered subplots that involves Tenzin versus Tarrlok, and all of this within a political context. So we have Tenzin versus Tarrlok, we have Korra versus Tarrlok, we have Lin Beifang thrown into the mix, we have Asami versus her father. And so the writers are really covering all political aspects of this series, which is really a testament to the excellent writing that they've been able to achieve throughout this series, which just mind blown what they've been able to do. And not only that, but even when characters are not privy to the political implications of their actions, they're still involved in politics. Even characters like Korra and Lin Beifang, who seem not, it's not that they're ignorant of politics, but that they tend to be naive about politics. Even they can be used as pawns in this political chess match that Tarrlok and Amon are playing. It's absolutely fascinating. So when it comes to Lin Beifang particularly, we see that her resignation as chief of the metal bending police force was absolutely politically inept. It showed, I mean, Tarrlok played her for a fool, and that's exactly what she was. That's exactly what she was. Her resigning from the metal bending police force gave Tarrlok the absolute space that he needed in order to complete his takeover of the Republic Council and to completely monopolize all of his power. Lin Beifang made the wrong move in this chess match. She made the wrong move in this chess match. And ironically, well, probably not ironically, because so much happened in this episode, she doesn't even appear in this episode. So I want to see how she gets in on the action in these next upcoming episodes. She has to get back in the game. She has to get back in this chess match. And in terms of Tarrlok versus Korra, Korra goes and confronts him about this. She confronts him about the task force and confronts him about, his control of the metal bending police force. And Tarrlok points out, listen, you're not really the Avatar. You're some half-baked concoction. You haven't mastered airbending yet. Avatar state? What Avatar state? What can you do? You can't stop me. You haven't even mastered airbending yet. And this is another element of political intrigue. Like I said, the writers have covered every angle of this, every angle. This is another aspect. We see that Korra's political influence is not just tied to her being the Avatar in name, it's tied to her progress as Avatar. So notice, remember when she first gets to Republic City and she does that press conference type event, and everybody's, oh, the Avatar's back, she's taking on Amon. Tarrlok points out, listen, that's just some show. You're not really the Avatar. You haven't mastered airbending. Letting her know that your political influence isn't just tied to the title you have, tied to the name of Avatar. It actually is tied to your progress as Avatar. So don't get ahead of yourself. Don't think you can match wits with me because you're not ready yet, child. That's basically what Tarrlok said to her. And Tarrlok had to have mentioned this to Saikon. He had to have mentioned this to Saikon because that's the only way you can get somebody to oppose the Avatar. Try to convince them that you have more power than the Avatar. Makes sense. And that's probably how he got Saikon, and it's probably how he got the other members of the Republic Council in his pocket. And I just have to say, You don't often see this amount of complexity when it comes to political intrigue in what's supposed to be a children's show. You really don't. And I really question whether or not we can consider this just merely a children's show. Because the writing here is just wow. 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 That's all I have to say. It's just wow. But anyway, we get introduced to the new team Avatar, at least for a little bit in this episode, because that quickly comes to an end when Tarrlok goes crazy at the end. But Korra is bemoaning her state, the fact that she's basically been put in her place by Tarrlok, and everybody's trying to cheer her up. Mako, Asami, Bolin, they're all trying to cheer her up. And I think it was Mako who pointed out that, Aang didn't master bending while he was fighting the Fire Nation. He didn't master all the elements. He hadn't mastered them yet, but he was still fighting the Fire Nation. And then I think it was Bolin who pointed out that Aang had friends. So why can't we be your friends in this situation? We can be the new team Avatar. And all of a sudden things look like it's going great. And let me just go on a very quick tangent here to try and explain why pro bending was necessary, that whole pro bending subplot. The probe bending was a device used to establish character relationships. It was needed to justify the relationships that would lead to the creation of a new team avatar. That's what that whole probe bending subplot was supposed to be about. So I know a lot of people were not really complaining, but they were pointing out that they were tired of pro bending. But I think it was a necessary plot element because it was a device designed to establish character relationships and to justify why they would all create this sort of camaraderie and why they will all band together to form the new team avatar. So that's why I think the pro bending plot device was necessary, because it allows for a fuller exploration of characterization and allows for the explanation of these relationships that otherwise might not have been explained as well. And after they form the new team Avatar, what do? They go out equalist hunting. So Asami has her car and they're all riding around in the car and listening to a police scanner, and they hear something about some equalists, so they head into action. And there's another nice action sequence where the writers really use this new urban landscape, this new urban environment to their advantage. At one point there's a truck in a cross section, and Korra and Bolin earth bend to create a ramp so the car can sort of jump over the truck, and it was just really nice. I really love the action scenes in Legend of Korra, man. You see me cheesing throughout this whole review because I'm just like, wow, this is awesome. But anyway, when Tarrlok's police force, the Metal Bending police force, and when his task force gets there, they realize they've been upstaged by the new Team Avatar, and so the conflict between Korra and Team Avatar and Tarrlok begins to escalate. Now, here is the part in the episode where Tarrlok goes crazy. The man goes ape shit, bananas. So Tarrlok is continuing to monopolize his power on the Republic Council, and he convinces the council to vote for martial law. Basically, he gets them to vote that no non-bender is able to be outside of their homes past a certain curfew, is what he terms it. And they also give Tarrlok the ability to arrest anybody suspected. Even if he suspects you of equalist ties, he can arrest you and detain you indefinitely. And here's one weakness that I found in this episode in the writing, where I thought the writing was really lackluster, left a little bit to be desired. Why do the council members continue to vote for Tarrlok? I mean, has anybody ever asked that question? The only person I've seen really delve into this is Otaku Assemble, Larry from Otaku Assemble. He brought up a very good point. Why don't the council members have any sort of characterization? They don't have any sort of personality, no character development, nothing. It's like they're just robots siding with Tarrlok, and there's no explanation for why they act this way. And I understand, I understand what's going on here. I understand that the council members are being used as a plot device. Their complicity is necessary in order for Tarrlok to gain the power that he's gained so far. So that's why the council members are there. But there's no explanation for why they would side with Tarrlok, and it just seems too convenient for Tarrlok to be able to use the council members this way. Now, perhaps he's bribed them or done something or whatever, but there's really no explanation for it, and as a result, the characterization of the council members suffers because of it, and the writing suffers because of their lack of characterization. And that's just one little pet peeve I have. So then after Tarrlok gets this power, he's what does a person with power do? They use it. So this is what he does. He starts using that power. He turns off the electricity to non-benders. Uh-oh. Whew. Getting crazier. He turns off their electricity. So then the non-benders begin to protest in the streets. And so of course, and it seems like Tarrlok has provoked this situation. He's turned off their electricity so that they would come out into the streets and protest. And then after they come out into the streets and protest, he says, well, now I can lock you up because you're violating the curfew. You see how this is all a snowball effect? You see how cunning Tarrlok is? Wow, is he a devious? Woo, he's real devious. So Tarrlok sends out the metal bending police and he sends out his task force. But then Korra arrives. And then things get even crazier. So she tries to stop Tarrlok from arresting these people, and Tarrlok arrests all of her friends. He arrests Asami, Mako, and Bolin. And just to go off on a very, very quick tangent, this is obviously what appears to be a clear case of discriminating against non-benders. And Korra can't do anything about it. Her friends are arrested. Tarrlok is taking over Republic City. She's the Avatar and she can't do anything about it. Oof. And this gets into another interesting discussion about the relationship between power, ethics, and justice. And one thing that I really thought about while I was watching this part of the episode was a quote by Teddy Roosevelt, who said, talk softly, but carry a big stick. In other words, justice and ethics requires power. There's no way around it. It requires power. If you don't have the power to force people to be ethical, yes, and I mean that, force them. If you don't have the power to force people, or at least make sure that people will be ethical and be just, then there's no guarantee that people will act ethically or will act in any way that promotes justice. Why? Because there will always be a certain segment of humans, a certain segment of humanity that will not act ethically, that will not act justly. And so if you don't have the power to enforce ethics and justice, they'll basically do what they want to do. And this is a clear scenario of this. Korra is powerless to stop Tarrlok. She can't force him to be ethical. She can't force him to be just. She can't force him to do what he's to do what he's supposed to do so that she can maintain balance. And why? Because she hasn't mastered airbending. She can't go into the avatar state. And again, Tarrlok comes back. You're just a half-baked avatar. Get out of here. Wow. Woof. So after all of this transpires, Tenzin goes and tries to get her friends out of being detained, but he can't do it. So Korra goes to confront Tarrlok, and this is where the episode gets bananas. I mean, absolutely bananas. So Korra goes to the Republic Council building, sort of like this world's version of City Hall, and she confronts Tarrlok, and the conflict quickly escalates into an all-out brawl, an all-out fight. So Tarrlok has a waterfall behind him, and he's using this water to water bend, throwing ice bullets at Korra. Korra looks like she's backed up. She's fire bending against him. Then all of a sudden, she earth bends and she takes I think it was a section of a wall, and just knocks Tarrlok straight through a wall. He blows through the wall. Then and behind that wall there's a balcony, so he's able to hold on to the balcony so that he doesn't fall down. And then Korra emerges from the rubble, and she's like, "You call me a half-baked avatar? Now let's see you talk that trash." She earth bends, blows the balcony up, and Tarrlok falls down off the balcony. So then Korra comes off the balcony, and right when it looks like she's about to deliver the final blow, Tarrlok blood bends. Oh, he blood bends. Wow. There is no amount of words that can express my surprise at this development. He blood bends. And I think he knocks her out. I can't remember quite sure. But not only that, not only does he blood bend, Korra says, "How? This is not even a full moon." And then Tarrlok's like, "There's a lot of things you don't know." Wow. Really? Wow. And like I said, I think he knocks her out. And Korra has another vision. And in this vision, the person who I think is Yakone, I'm almost certain this person is Yakone, has to be. Yakone is seeing blood-bending Aang. Yakone is blood-bending. Wow. I mean, this is just getting crazy. Every episode of The Legend of Korra just gets crazier and crazier. And the intensity factor goes up every episode. But anyway, um, was Tarrlok proceeds, he ties Korra up, he puts her in the back of a paddy wagon, and he says, "I'm going to take you to some place where no one will ever find you." So now he's locked up Korra. He's locked up the Avatar. Wow. So now let me just talk very briefly about my theories and speculations on these developments. Like I said before, it's clear to me now that the person in those visions is Yakone. The person in the courtroom with Toph and Sokka and Aang, he's definitely Yakone because he's there, he's in handcuffs. It looks like a trial, so he's definitely Yakone. The second thing is that Yakone and Tarrlok are definitely related. I think it's safe for me to go out on a limb and say that they're definitely related. First of all, they look exactly like each other. And I think I noticed, I mentioned this in my last episode review where I said, no, in episode 6 where Korra had the second flashback, I said, "Man, that person looks awfully like Tarrlok." And a lot of other people were noticing that too. So it's clear that Tarrlok and Yakone are related. They look just like each other. But not only that, they both are seen bloodbending. So they're definitely related. So everything that's happening now with Tarrlok is related to Yakone. And in order for Korra to understand what's happening, she has to go into the Avatar state and make some sort of spiritual connection with Aang. That's the only way this is going to be resolved. And let me just go a little further and say this. I'm not exactly sure about what the connection is between Tarrlok and Amon, but I have a theory about this, and I'll release that in a discussion video later on this week. Probably Wednesday, I'm thinking. Think Wednesday. Yeah, I think Wednesday. So, like I said, I'm not sure about the relationship, the connection between Amon and Tarrlok, but what I can say is this. Tarrlok has definitely been using this situation, this sort of political crisis, to his advantage. And it seems like at every step, we thought Amon was the mastermind, the political strategist. Tarrlok, wow, it's like Tarrlok is playing chess. I think this is from Manga Meme. It's like Tarrlok is playing chess and everybody else is playing checkers. Wow. Oh man, Tarrlok. Woo. We have a real scenario on our hands. This sort of Korra at one part of the triangle, Amon at another part of the triangle, and now Tarrlok at another part of the triangle. Wow, I gotta clap it up to the writers, man. Clap it up. Everybody clap it up to the writers. I mean, one way to describe this episode, absolutely epic. So this was your boy Uber Hikari, aka the Nerd Nigga. Just brought you another video with no frills, just the analysis. Peace and have a blessed day. Tarlock.